Welcome to the Copper King Mine and Railroad. That's the opening line for my YouTube channel. The Copper King Mine and Railroad is this HO model layout, and it's based on the workings of Bingham Canyon Mine. At the end of each video it says keep Bingham's history alive. Now it's your chance to do that by purchasing my new Arcadia book, Bingham Canyon. It will be in the stores July 1st, 2024. This week is chapter 10. The people, so stay tuned. Bingham Canyon, Chapter 10, The People. We traveled up Bingham Canyon and showed you the places and towns that made up Bingham. But the real story is about the people that lived and worked in this mountain community. How they came from all over the world and brought their own customs, religions, and the determination to succeed. It's about the many nationalities that worked and lived together and created a bond that lasted forever. We talked about early Bingham being a rough and tough mining camp. This image shows just before a cockfight. There was gambling, prostitution, a lot of drinking, occasional bank robbery, and shooting. But most of the men were arrested for being drunk in public and put in jail overnight until they sobered up. At one time, there were 29 saloons operating in Bingham. The first town sheriff was Athol Williams, a small man but big nerve. The second chief of police was Billy Grant. Now he's sitting in the middle with his hands on his knees. This is Bingham's police department in 1909. Grant will be murdered by Rafael Lopez, November 1913. Red Lopez or Rafael Lopez was a harsh part of Bingham Canyon's history. It will turn out to be the bloodiest law enforcement episode in Utah's history. Now that's a whole nother story. The many underground mines around Bingham needed workers, and the open cut mining method was labor intense. The early steam locomotives needed an engineer, a brakeman, a fireman. The steam shovels had an operator, a fireman, an oiler, and the track gangs had to keep building rails in front of the shovels. The first shovels ran on rails. They also had to move the tracks closer to the levels for the trains after each shovel pass. Then there was the drill and blasting department, and many more. This need for workers brought a flood of immigrants to Bingham. The first safety rule books were printed in multiple languages. The immigrants moved into this strange new world of Bingham. They had their own customs and language. It wasn't easy. They had their own restaurants, coffee houses, bath houses, saloons, pool halls, and churches. This photograph shows the 1912 strike. With the flood of immigrants, mining companies were taking advantage of the new arrivals. Some were making less than $2 a day. Most were Greeks working in the underground mines. The Greeks' biggest grievance was not about the wage, but about Leonidas Scalary's padrone. The padrone system, in your country, you paid a padrone a fee to get a job. He would get you here with the job. But Leonidas Scalary's was also charging the men a monthly fee to keep their jobs and insisted that they shop at his Pan-Hellenic store. Utah Copper and the open pit operation would not recognize the unions for many years, until the late 1940s. That was after Daniel Jackling retired. But with unions came strikes, and Kennecott had their share of them. Bingham Canyon was filled with men working in the mines. They needed a place to live. Many lived in boarding houses. Not only did the landlords provide meals, but many did their wash and their ironing. And they served as nurses, and doctors, and banker. The boarding house would become the center of their lives. Dances, parties, a gathering place to talk and argue. They had women also. Many men found their wives here. With over 26 different nationalities in this crowded canyon, prejudice and discrimination was commonplace. The children of Bingham Canyon fared a little better about prejudice. They went to the same schools, played together. It was the children that changed the attitude and brought the people together. The children played baseball. They explored the mountains. The Carfork bridge supports were their tricky bars.
The kids of Copperfield sold ore samples to the tourists. The people of Bingham loved to celebrate and did every chance they could. Look at this photograph looking up Main Street with all the banners across the street. Looks like every store and business is decorated. All the people in the street. They celebrated the 4th of July, the 24th of July, or Pioneer Day, weddings, funerals. They had a big celebration at the end of World War I and World War II. The people of Bingham had their own holiday, Galena Days. It was a holiday in which the old days were honored, and the 1904 incorporation of the town. The first Galena Day was September 30th, 1939. That's when they dedicated the Copperfield Tunnel. The people dressed up like olden days. The men had to wear a beard or be put in play gel. They had games and contests like hard rock drilling contests, mucking, spiking contests, and much more. Bingham had their share of disasters. They had floods, snow and mudslides, and the worst, fire. They had hard times like the Great Depression, world wars, mining accidents, strikes, layoffs due to low copper prices. Somehow the people of Bingham always pulled together, helping each other out. Many stories are told of kind deeds. Charles Adderley letting people buy on credit. Louis Buckman purchasing prescriptions for workers and their families without them knowing. The open pit operation will eventually take over the whole town of Bingham and all the communities around the mine. This image shows the mine keeps inching this way. The mountain that once separated the mine from Carfort Canyon is gone. At the confluence, the Bingham Merc is gone. It's just a parking lot now. The people are moving out, going to the valley to live. The people who ever lived in Bingham love this place. Even years after leaving, people always talk fondly about it. If you once lived in Bingham, you are part of an exclusive club. I have been fascinated with Bingham Canyon and its history all of my life. My grandfather and my father worked there. So when I started working there right out of high school, I loved it. I have been collecting pictures and information about Bingham for a long time. Bingham Canyon has been so inspiring to me, I dug out my crawl space under my family room and built a HO trained layout representing Bingham. It took me 10 years. It led me to create this YouTube channel and now this book, Bingham Canyon. So that's chapter 10, The People in the Book, Bingham Canyon.